Hi, everyone, and a very good evening to all of you. Welcoming all the lovely students and any other counselors and teachers here attending the weekly career class with all of us. Today, a very special topic. It's always said that habits and good habits could define you, and it takes 21 days to create a habit. We thought that why not get into understanding how habits can, enable you to make an effective career decision process. So we invited one of our senior counselors and life coach, Ms. Dolveen Bhatti, here today, who will be going ahead and letting you know, how to inculcate good habits and what role they do really play in your career decision making process. So Dolveen, thank you so much for being here today, and hope you have a great time with the students attending this class today. And over to you, please.
Thank you so much, Garima. It is always a pleasure interacting with students and anybody else who's willing to be here and to be working and speaking on the platform of iDream. So let's just get started. And the moment we start, it is because you are here because you've made a choice, you've made a decision. And I would always refer to habits as decisions, which are automatic, which are unconscious, and we just take them so often that we don't even realize that they are decisions. So here we go. Habits actually are automatic decisions. We weren't born with these habits. And it's very interesting when I hear people say that it's a good habit or a bad habit. Habits are not good or bad. They're either effective or they're not. They're either serving you or they're not. Because every time a habit started, it started for a reason, and that reason made sense to you. It was serving you. Over the time, that reason stopped being a reason enough for you. It stopped being good enough for you. It didn't serve you anymore. And hence, that is why now it doesn't make sense. For example, if you were out, say, if you were on holidays, the reason of staying late, okay, or if you had traveled abroad, and the reason for staying up late was that you could get in touch with other friends of yours who were now off their study or their work routine, and they had now time for you, and you all could chit chat and generally have fun together online or maybe on a phone call. So staying up late at that point of time served you. And you did that for a couple of days on a regular basis. So it kind of became a habit. But now that you're back in your own country, in the same time zone, and it doesn't serve sense to stay up late, because that is now not serving you, because it's eating into your sleep time, it's eating into your resting time. You wake up in the morning, which is not, you're not your freshest at that point of time. So the habit is no longer serving you. So habits are not good or bad. Habits are effective or not. What we're going to do today is, as we talk about habits, I want to take you through a habit of yours. So let's just go through this a little, and then I'm going to ask you to do a little exercise. A pen and a paper is always most welcome. If you have a question, please do ask as and when it comes up. If it's in flow of the conversation, we will answer it there and then, which obviously makes more sense. However, if it is, which requires slightly more detailed explanation, we'll park it and take it up in the end. So habits are simply reliable solutions to recurring problems in our environment. They are solutions that are reliable meaning that they worked for us. They are easy for us to do. We can do them. We have the ability to do them, and they serve us. So we've done that once. It served us. We'll do it again. It'll serve us again. And slowly, we'll start doing it without even realizing that we are doing it. So often what happens is when we talk about habits, people say that, oh, habits are very boring. They take away flexibility. They take away spontaneity. So habits kind of bind us. And the thing is, it is exactly the opposite. Habits liberate us. Habits give us the freedom from making decisions over and over and over again about the same things. Because now these decisions are unconscious. And what are habits? Habits are actions that you take. What is an action that you take? It's a choice that you make. What is a choice that you make? Choice is always a decision between this or that. And you choose and you act repeatedly, it becomes a habit, right? So to call it something which binds you, well, not really. And let me show you how. Habits actually give you freedom because when you go into the neurological activity that happens when you come across a situation in which you have a choice and you have to make a decision, there's a lot of cognitive activity going on. You take in a lot of information, you analyze it, you categorize it, you make your strategies about it, and then you choose, and then you finally take an action. Of course, all of this happens so automatically and so fast in your brain that it doesn't seem like this long drawn out process, but it is actually. So when we form a habit, that means when we are doing something automatically, unconsciously, without real thought to it, that gives us freedom from that cognitive overload of having to think about it over and over again. Imagine waking up every morning and thinking about the benefits, the procedure of brushing your teeth. Isn't that a habit? I mean, you wake up, you go to the washroom, and almost the first thing that you do is you brush your teeth. You don't go through the entire process of, oh, the benefits of brushing the teeth, I should do it, and that's the way I've been taught, and this. You don't do that. So it gives you freedom from that cognitive overload of constantly taking in information, deciding, understanding, choosing, hence the freedom. Once your mind is free of these routine things, it is free to do more stuff like being more creative. If you were all the time thinking about how to change the gears of the car, how to apply the brake, at what speed to change the gear, at to now put on the indicator to turn right or to turn left, view in the rear view. It comes to you naturally. It comes to you as a habit. But yes, there was a time when it was a very, very conscious act because we were learning how to drive. Now that we know how to drive and we are so good at it, now we can add creativity to our drive time and we can invest our time and our brains in maybe listening to a podcast or having a very meaningful conversation with your passenger, with the co-passenger next to you, or enjoying the scenery as you are driving. So hence more creativity, of course, more productivity. Because you have systems in place which serve you well, you are able to be more productive. You can plan it in such a way that you don't spend time and mind and energy trying to figure out now what to do. Some things are just taken care of. It's done so automatically. If you're in the habit of, say, placing your things at the right place, once you come back from work, your bag goes to a proper place, your food box, the tiffin goes back to the kitchen, your water bottle goes at the proper place. Tomorrow morning, you know exactly what to pick up from where. You don't have to think about it, search about it. So these things, because they're automatic, they leave you with more time to be productive, saves time and energy, and of course, reduces decision fatigue. When we have a set of effective habits with us, we are no longer thinking about what to do. Should I do this or should I not? Now, it's a habit of mine. Like I always say, I always give examples related to health and healthy eating and exercising. So it's a habit of mine to now wake up in the morning and have a whole bottle of warm water. It takes me about half an hour to do it, but that's what I do. I don't wake up in the morning and start thinking about it. Should I, shouldn't I? That leaves my mind free. It takes away the effort of this decision, and that effort I can now put into, oh, now should I read this book or this? Should I read or should I meditate? Should I meditate or should I exercise? Should I go for cycling or should I go for walking? See, so decision fatigue is taken out of the equation. And Decision fatigue is when you are trying to decide every time. That is why they say that when you are figuring out what to do, as far as simple things as what to eat or where to go for eating, something as simple as that, that is hardly the time to think about or invest your mind in something more important, like, do I make that phone call regarding that admission right now? Do I ask my senior for information about or ask for leave right now? So decision fatigue is taken out of the equation because you are now doing a lot of things out of sheer habit. These are decisions that you've made. Moving forward, before we talk about habits and how we go into it, how do we form them or unform them, learn or unlearn them now that they are formed, there are three layers of habit change. The outermost and the most superficial layer is the outcome layer, where you are following out something, you're doing something, and you want to form a habit just for the outcome of it. It is the goal oriented habit. It doesn't serve a purpose because it will not bring you happiness. It will not bring you a permanent change. And once it's done, then what? You're back to square one. So that is why when we hear of people going on a diet, for example, for 1 week or a month, or I'm leaving sugar for the next 14 days, 1 month, it doesn't work because after that, what? You're back to square one. Then if you're back to square one, then why did you even try? Doesn't make sense. Process. Process is what you do. So if your entire focus is on what you're doing, then you will get tired and you will stop doing it at some point of the time because you're doing it just because you're doing it. That is why they say that if you want to make effective changes in your lifestyle and you want to bring in habits which impact you as a whole, where you actually believe that habits are what makes you, we go into the layer of identity change. So when you wake up in the morning, it is not a goal for the next 60 days, I'm going to wake up in the morning. It is not the process of waking up in the morning at, say, 5 o'clock. It's an identity change. I am an early riser. So when you're an early riser, a small fall off the wagon, like one day you didn't wake up early, or something like you woke up but you didn't step out for a walk, doesn't matter. Because you know what? I'm an early riser and today I did go out. So it's an identity change because we are a sum total of all our habits. And it is as simple as that. When we are talking about identity change, it is all about decide who you want to be, not what you want to do. Because what you want to do can keep changing, but who you are is actually a sum total of your habits. In fact, look around you and think about this. Every time you are explaining yourself as a person, I am somebody who XYZ. I always do this. I don't watch TV. I read. So that makes you a reader. You will not identify yourself as a reader just because you read the newspaper one day out of an entire year. So identity change or changing your identity or identifying with the change that you want to bring about is actually the only way to bring about a habit. Otherwise, we will do it. And like all our New Year resolutions, after a week, 10 days, you will fall off the wagon. So try not to do that. When you're talking about a habit, think about this. What are you actually trying to achieve? Is it the outcome or the process or the identity? And keeping that in mind, let's lay the foundation. Now is the time. Take a paper and a pen in your hand, and you can pause the video if you want as you go along, but take a paper and a pen in your hand. And first thing that you need to write now over here is, we are going to take this session as if it was a habit that you want to form or remove, or make or break. So we'll take it like that. I would suggest that pick up a habit which you want to become, you want that habit to become part of your identity, like becoming a reader or a writer or an athlete, or so athlete would be a person who walks regularly, a person who cycles regularly, who runs regularly, or plays football regularly. A reader would be a person who reads on a regular basis, at least 1 or 2 pages every day, and then more on days that they have time. A person who, no sugar person. I am in that identity change process, but I identify as a no sugar person because I don't take added sugar. I am not taking added sugar because that's who I want to become.
Dolveen, you there? I think we lost you. All right. So I think Dolveen got disconnected. Yes, Dolveen,
Yeah,
you there? Yes.
I'm back. I'm back. I'm sorry. This is, give me a moment. Yeah, here we were. So, yeah, we were on the question of what is the change that you would want to bring about? And that is what a habit is, right? Whether you want to add on something or you want to remove something. Let's talk about adding on something, right? So, because even if you want to remove something, that means in its place, something else will come forward. So, think about that. What is that thing that you want to change? Why is it important to you? How will your life be when you have that change? What is the impact that it will have on your life? That is what I want you to write down right now. Take one habit right now and write it down. Yep. And now think about why. Why do you want it to change? Why do you want that impact in your life? What will happen in your life when that impact comes to your life? Why? Why only this particular thing will bring that impact? How will it add on to your life? What's the reason? Which hopefully is completely yours, not because it is expected out of you, something that you should do. It has to be your reason. Because, like they say, if your reason is strong enough, you will figure out a how. So, if I don't have a strong enough reason to change a habit, no matter how many books I might read or how many attempts I might try, I will somewhere lose it. So get the reason of what to change. Now we're talking about why. Now, what are the obstacles? So is this the first time that you're trying to change this? If it is, then what were the obstacles that you faced last time when you tried to change it? What is, or if this is something that you're trying for the first time, you've not thought of it like this, and okay, we are here in a session and I'm asking you to do it. So you're like, okay, for the sake of the session, and let me just give it a try. I want to try this thing new. Fantastic. Now let me know, let yourself know, what are the anticipated obstacles that you could face? What are the challenges that you think that can come forward to you in your life, in your day, in your attempt to establish this particular act as a habit that can block you? What are the obstacles? The reason why we talk about this so strongly and why we write them down is because if we are not aware of them, if we don't even think about them, how will we ever face them? And to walk into a habit formation zone, believing that, oh, I will not face any obstacles, my old patterns will not come forward, I will just come and smoothly walk through a new thing for the next 21 days or 66 days, that debate is always open, is a little foolhardy. So think about the obstacles, write them down, at least two, three. Be honest. Be very honest. Sometimes the obstacle is as simple as lack of willpower. Even that's an obstacle. And finally, what will happen in your life if you do not have this habit? It is not the direct opposite of the reason. It is not that I want to read because I want to have more information. So if I don't read, I will not have information. It's not automatically that. There could be other reasons. Dig deeper as to how will your life be if this thing isn't there? How will it impact your life? Think about that. These are headers. Sometimes when we're thinking about it right now, as I'm speaking about it, and your first time you think about it, not many answers come up. Few obviously will be there. Otherwise, it is not the right habit to be taken up right now. But as you think about it a little more, within 24 hours, believe me, you'll have more reasons. So first question is, what do you want to change? How will that impact your life? Why that change? Reason of that change. Why would you want to change that? What obstacles do you anticipate or you've seen already that you faced earlier? Or what obstacles do you anticipate? And if you don't make this change, how is your life going to be impacted? Because if the answer to that is, oh, you know what, there won't be any impact in my life if I don't make this change, then why would you make that change? Because any change is effort. Any change is effort. So that answer is super important. Super important. And we keep going back to these answers whenever we feel and we are stuck, or we feel like just letting go, forget it. It's not worth it. But then these are the reasons that keep us going. Okay. How does a habit form? What is the procedure? Well, what happens is that there is a cue. Something in the environment makes you think of doing something. It gives you a ring bell that, oh, why not do this now? It's like as simple as you hear the music and you want to dance, or you smell something and you want to have that thing to eat. As simple as that. Or you hear the phone ring and automatically you go and pick it up, even though you're in the middle of studying, reading, having a conversation with a friend or a family member. It doesn't matter, but you just heard that ring and you automatically pick up the phone, right? So first of all, there is a cue that comes from the environment, and that leads to a craving. Craving is the motivation to act, right? So you smell something, you are passing by you're out for a walk and you pass by. This happens with us often when we are walking and we pass by a certain place. We always get the smell of food. And when you're walking and you're tired, that smell is like, and the craving is, I need to eat something right now. So craving is the motivation to take action. You want to do something about it. You want to satisfy that craving. And because you have the craving, that becomes the motivation, the desire, the fuel for you to have the response. And when you will have the response, obviously, when you take action to fulfill the craving, there will be a reward. And because there is a reward, and that reward is extremely satisfying for you, it's like, this was good. That is why the next time you have the same cue, the same craving will come forward, the same response will come forward, and the reward will be the same. And that is what forms the habit. Now, interestingly, the cue and the craving are for part of the problem, and the response and the reward are part of the solution. So whenever we have a cue, We need to manage that so that we can have habits that we want, that serve us, are effective for us. We need to manage our cravings so that we don't fall off the wagon by doing something that we didn't plan to. Response, obviously, is up to us. It's a choice we are making. The craving can come without even thinking. It's a feeling. What makes a cue into a craving is your own thought, your own feeling. Uh, Somebody who's really keen on eating and is a big foodie, the moment they see donuts, the craving is, I want to eat it. I'm not a foodie. When I see donuts, I don't have that craving at all. So it's not the cue, the donuts, that is the point. Donut is in the environment. It's my thoughts and feelings about the donut that I want to have it. So if I don't relate any kind of reward, so, and if say I've had a donut and it's given me an allergic reaction in the past, you think I'm going to look at a donut and feel, oh, I need to have it? No. But if you've had a donut and you are like, the taste, the texture, oh, and you were very hungry and it just gave you that satisfaction. It gave you the happiness of being with friends and sharing that thing with everybody. Then all of that thought and that feeling associated with it will bring in the motivation, the desire to the response of let's eat it. It doesn't work with me because that's not how it works, right? So I'd rather have the same feeling was for, say, a salad. Okay. And a salad might not do anything for somebody else. So it is not the cue, it is the meaning we attach to the cue. It is the meaning and the feelings that we attach and we have for the cue that bring about the craving, the response, and the reward. Now, there are 4 laws of habit formation. Based on these 4 steps of habit formation, 4 laws of habit formation, which are actually very, very simple. So now, when you have your habit written out in front of you, that one change that you want to bring out, we will now talk about, or whatever I say, you will relate that to your particular habit and see it from that window. I am giving you examples based on habits that I might have formed, or I might have broken, or I might have seen someone else do. You could be wanting something which is completely different. It doesn't matter. So now your challenge is to keep your habit that you want to bring in, that change that you were thinking about. You have the reason for it. You know what you could be, where an obstacle could come, what kind of obstacles could come. And of course, you have the reason, the problems you will face if you were not to have that habit. How would your life be different? Okay. So now, what are the 4 laws of habit formation? As simple as this. If you want to make a good habit, effective one, please remember, no habits are good or bad. They are effective or not effective. So if you want to make an effective habit, which is serving you, the cue, make it obvious. Make the cue for that habit obvious in front of you. Make it attractive. Make the cravings attractive for you to be motivated enough to fulfill them. Make the response easy to do. Your cue is obvious and your craving is attractive and your response is really tough. How would you ever do it? And make the reward satisfying. And consequently, when you want to break a habit, you already have that habit. So the moment you see the cue, oh, you're not to see the cue because you have to make it invisible. Take it away from your vision so that it's no longer a cue. The craving has to be unattractive. Like the donut, which gave me an allergic reaction. Oh, the craving is not attractive to me anymore. Response needs to be difficult. To act on that craving should be a challenge for me, right? If the phone is right next to me, the moment it goes ping, my craving to connect with people, I'll pick it up. But if the phone is in the other room, oh, I'll have to leave this session and go and then come back. So it becomes difficult. And of course, the reward needs to be unsatisfying, and that's a wrong spelling. I'm so sorry. So the reward needs to be unsatisfying. Now let's take these one by one. The cues. Make them obvious if we want to add on a habit, or make the cues invisible if we want to remove a habit. Now, why are we doing this? Do remember, you are still thinking in terms of the change that you want to bring about. Habit, it will become later. First, it will become a change, an act that you do. You do it once and twice and thrice and go on and on and on. And the moment it starts serving you, it'll become a habit. So let us start with the act of it. So what does it mean to make a cue obvious? Most of the times with habits, we don't even realize we are doing them. Something as simple as biting your nails. Till the time somebody doesn't tell you that stop it, you don't even realize that you were biting your nails. Something as simple as picking up your bag to go out is such an unconscious thing that you do that the day you pick up something else, you don't remember to pick up your bag because the habit was to pick it up. Often we say that, oh my God, I'm always in the habit of picking up something and going out. And today I picked up this and I forgot that. It's happened to us, right? So the cues, the point is to bring it into your awareness. Understand that where does that cue to do that habit come to you? So Japanese have this entire system called pointing and calling out for their railways. Every time they're doing something, they point out. So and so, check, that, check, this, check. They actually speak it out. They don't follow the routine of seeing the security on the railway platform when the train is coming in, doors are opening and the doors are shutting and the train is going out. They don't do that as a quiet thing. They all speak it out. It's a rule because they're making it obvious. Otherwise, you could overlook things. So make it specific, make it obvious, make it specific. Now it is time for you to decide that the change that you wanted, I will do that change in the time, give yourself a time in the location and give yourself a location. Go ahead. So for example, if your habit is say to become a reader, to read more, what does read more mean? Okay, read more for me specifically means that I will read 5 pages at, let's say, 10 o'clock. When I'm in bed and I'm about to sleep. So now that is specific. And how will you design the environment to serve that obvious cue? Your book will be lying right next to you on the bed, on that side table next to the bed. It's visible. What will not be visible over there? If, say, this is the habit that you want to form, what is the obstacle that could come? Instead of picking up the book, you could pick up your phone and scroll through social media. Your phone is not there at that point of time. You've left your phone somewhere else. It is a plan that you make because it's a system that you now want to set up. It has to be as systematic as that. So now why don't you take your behavior, that change that you want to bring in, and think about what specifically, where specifically, and when specifically will you do it? And how will you design your environment to make sure that it is the easiest thing for you to do? And consequently, the obstacles that you might have, how are you going to make them invisible? And how will you reduce your exposure? Because self-control, don't bank on it at all, especially at the end of a day. You're tired. You just want to let go. I'll read the book later. Let me just go to these social media things for 5 minutes. Do it the other way around. Read the book for 5 minutes and then go to the social media. Work it like that because you want to do it. And why do you want to do it? Well, go back to your reasons. What will happen if you don't do it? Well, go back to the loss of what will happen if you don't establish that habit. That is why those were done initially. And they should be somewhere where you can see them on a regular basis. So moving on, the cravings, they need to be attractive. They need to be unattractive. To attractive for you to do it, the craving of reading the book should be attractive, and the craving for going back to the phone should be unattractive. If I was to take my example, I'll take a moment here till the time you fill in your cues for the previous one. You fill in your cues and you've written down that line. Okay. Interestingly, when we go out shopping, do you realize the cues that you get to buy things that you didn't want to buy? The chocolates right in front of the shopper, the place where you pay up. You've just shopped and now you're tired, and a chocolate seems the easiest thing to buy at that point of time. Or you'll have chips over there. That's where when there are parents with small children, they're like, I'm so tired, I'm so hungry, you made me do this, you made me come here to the shopping mall to shop, now please give me chocolate. Why? Because it's right there. The queue is right there. The craving is, I want to eat this chocolate. And they start to ask for it. So all the psychologists and the economists follow these patterns to make sure that we buy things that we didn't want to buy. In fact, they say that you end up buying things not because you wanted to buy them, but because of the way they were presented to you, they were suggested to you. And that is the entire idea behind good advertising, effective advertising, which makes you feel that the moment you see something, it's like, I need to have this. The moment you're with friends, oh, chips and Coke has to be there. For example, why can't we think of warm water and salad? We don't think of that because you don't see any advertising talking about that. But you see so many advertisements which talk about opening of the door, loud music, laughter, fun, smiles, hugs, and then we are all opening a bottle of a soft drink and opening packets of chips and just eating it, right? So now we come to the craving. How do we make the cravings attractive? What do you do to make sure that the motivation to read is attractive? It never is, actually, is it? Temptation bundling. That's one of the simplest ways to do it. After what I want to do, I will do the habit that I want to build up. And after that, I will end up doing what I really like. For example, habit is that I need to go to bed at about 10 o'clock. There, I promised myself that I will read 5 pages of the book. And then I will do what I want to, which is go through social media, if that is what is your habit that you want and you still want to keep it with you. Or you could do something else also. You could give yourself a nice foot massage. That's your call. But so temptation bundling is where what you're doing already, to that you attach what you need to start doing, and then promise yourself and make it this one attractive by saying that after I've done this, I will do this. Obviously, it makes no sense that you reward yourself, so to say, that the habit I want by saying that I will not have sugar and then I will reward myself by having sweet. It is the festive season right now. So that would be easily available at home. Doesn't work, does it? And it's interesting where the choice of the clothes, they say that habits are influenced by people who you are close to, a lot of things which many are doing, and of course, what the influential people are doing. People who are close to you. Now, this could be friends, family, people you kind of hang around with, right? If you are trying to build up a habit and everybody else around you is not doing it, chances are you won't do it. You don't want to stand out. Nobody wants to stand out and look different. It becomes very tough. I saw that happening very much when I was in schools, and there were a few students who were trying to improve on their English speaking. So when they wanted to speak English, and the challenge to them was that, it doesn't matter whether you go wrong grammatically. What matters is that you speak English. Try not to bring in Hindi words. So they would sometimes struggle for those words of English, and they would struggle with grammar, but they would still go on. The friends around them would say stuff like, oh, now they would say things which were not very, very complimentary or encouraging, as compared to those who were also trying to do it. So then come the others, the many. That is the extreme advantage of joining a club or a group of people who are trying to do the same thing like you are trying to do. So if you're trying to read and become a reader as a habit, then joining up with a friend that let's together read this book in the next 1 month, which means that we will have to, the total number of pages slash by the number of days, we have to read so many pages every day. And if you have that with one person, it works. But if you have that with a lot of people, it works beautifully. You know that. If you were to go and play outside alone, you were like, nah, maybe not, I'll just watch TV or something. But if you know that a whole lot of them are going to be there to play, you would go that. That is why people who are cycling or running, they have these groups where otherwise waking up in the morning or in winters at 5 o'clock to go out for a cycle ride is painful. But the fact that there's so many of us doing it, it is so attractive. So join a club. Form a club. And the club doesn't have to be something big and formal. Just 2-3 of you is enough. So whatever you're trying to do, rope in other people as well who are thinking like the way you are, who are in the same process of growth, and they want to do it as well. So of course, and the converse of obviously is true, that move away from people who are not doing it, or if you don't really want to leave those people, then try not to talk about these things with them, because they might not be encouraging. And at this point of time, when you're forming habits, we do need the encouragement, every bit of it, and a motivational ritual. That makes a lot of sense. So when I used to go out cycling in the morning, and believe me, it was never easy. It still isn't easy to wake up in the morning and go out cycling in winters at 5. Okay, because that means that I have to sleep early. I have to wake up at 4 to be out at 5. And there's so much involved in the lights being charged and the cycle being looked after. There's so much involved. But the motivational ritual was that once I've done my cycling, I will pick up an interesting quote from Pinterest and put it up. And I got people telling me that, oh, we wait for your quotes because they make so much sense. And it's nice to see how consistent you are. So that became my motivational ritual, that the moment I would finish this, that is what I want to do. So what is your motivational ritual? Is it simple as texting a friend after you've read your 10 pages or the planned 15 or the planned 5 that done for the day? And the friends who are in that group say, thumbs up, well done. And that's it. Nothing more than that. It is advisable to have motivational rituals which would be your own and you're not dependent on others. But if you are, then at least have 2-3 over there, so that in case one person is not available for that thumbs up, it can come from somebody else. And then, of course, when your self-control or your self-motivation is on a low, there are others to pick you up because you're all on the same journey. The other way of doing it is reframe your mind. This is a trick, as simple as that. And it's a play of words. Convert your I have to I get to. I have to wake up in the morning and go for cycling. Converts for me into I get to meet these wonderful people who think like me, who inspire me. Oh, I have to read these 10 pages. I get to complete a book and then talk about it with other people. I get to celebrate the victory with buying a new diary or whatever it is. So convert your have to into a get to. Why are we playing these tricks with ourselves? Go back to your reason why you want this habit. Go back to that loss. What will happen if you don't have this habit? That is why those things to be strong is very important. In fact, before you start, spend a day or two focusing on just those answers. Make them resonate for yourself loudly, strongly, and then move forward. Everything else becomes tad easier because your reason is now strong enough. You're aware. You know the challenges. You know what will happen, what you will lose if you don't. Moving forward, response easy and difficult. Of course, when you want to do something. Now, the cue is to signal that let's there's something that has to be done. The craving is the motivation for doing it. And response is finally the action of doing it. If the action is easy, simple, it is easy to follow through. If the action is not easy, you will say, oh, maybe not. Of course, the action has to be within your capability. It cannot be an action that you've not ever done earlier, that you have no clue about it. And this is actually the most fun part of it, right? The other two happen somewhere here. So they are more of a mind game. This response happens out here. You actually take that action. So in a way, this is the easiest to do because you're actually doing something. And that always is slightly easier than changing a thought. But we will not reach here till we don't do that. So just be careful on that one. So reduce the friction. As simple as that. Now you have planned to wake up in the morning and study. What is the easiest way of doing it? Is to make sure that you have primed the environment, you have set your study table, you've kept the book, you know exactly what you want to study, you have your pens and your notebook and your rough copy and everything right there in front of you. If you wake up in the morning and then start thinking, okay, now I've woken up. What do I study? Do I study chemistry or do I study history? Or do I study that chapter? Oh, your mind's going to come and say, forget it. Plan it well and start tomorrow. Let's just sleep. You'll get into you're already fatigued by the number of decisions you still have to make and you've just woken up. So reduce the friction. No? What book do I read? Where is the book? What was the page? Keep a bookmark. You want to go out for a walk in the morning and you cannot find your socks. You think you want to go for a walk? No. So keep your shoes and your socks and your track pants and your shirt and your everything right there. When you're going out for cycling, make sure that your lights are all charged up. Reduce the friction of saying, oh, I'll do it later. Prime the environment. Now, this is something that we used to do as a family. I would always say that let's sleep before we sleep. Let's finish this day here so that we start the day tomorrow as a fresh day. So if we've been out shopping or if we've had a party at home or if we had guests at home and we've been doing stuff at home and everything is like here and there, let's make sure that we've kept everything back into the proper places as a family. And then tomorrow, when we wake up to our house all set, ready for us, and we are ready for the next day. So we would call it the 5-minute sorting out. Everyone in the family, sometimes there were 4 people, sometimes there were 3, sometimes there were just 2 of you, sometimes it's just 1. But the 5-minute sorting meant that everything goes back to the proper places. The shoes go into the shoe rack, socks go into the socks bin, the dirty clothes go into the washing machine, the pens go into the pen box, the books go into the book rack. Planning based on what you want to do the next day. The book that you want to read goes into next to your bedside table. All of that was done. This is called priming the environment. If you don't do this, you're again you're not making it easy for yourself. Believe me, wanting to make a habit and liking the process are two very different things. And interestingly, let me take a moment here to tell you that wanting, as human beings, we are wired to want more and like less. And I'm sure you resonate with that when I say that. Have you ever had that feeling where you were really wanting something and really wanting something and wanting? And the moment you got it, you were like, it's okay. And the liking of that thing was like, okay. And then it went away after 2 days. And you weren't really liking it so much. The anticipation of a holiday, the planning and the anticipation, we will do this, is far more exciting than maybe the holiday itself. And sometimes we feel that, oh, you know what, it wasn't as good as we were thinking. Because the part of your brain which does the wanting is far larger, and the hedonic hotspots that are there for your liking something are like islands across the brain. They're not a big chunk. And when you're wanting something, the nucleus accumbens is the part of the wanting part, is 100% activated. But when you're liking something, it is only 10% activated. So there you are. So habit formation, wanting to change, we want the end result. Nobody wants the process. Oh, I want to be a reader. But the process is that I will have to be somebody who reads every day. That's a process before I reach being well read and talking about various topics. Oh, I want to be fit and wear whatever I wear with style. But the process of being fit, eating well, cycling, walking, being regular about my water, being regular about my sleep, that's not fun, is it? It takes effort. So that is why make it easy for you as much as possible environmentally. There's enough struggle in your mind as it is, right? So master the decisive moment. Now, this is very, very interesting. There are always moments in your day which chalk the route for the next 5-6 hours. And just think about this carefully. The moment you say, you finished with your studies, okay, for example, and now there's a point where you can either choose. Now, this is a decisive moment. You finished with your homework, for example, and now the moment is that, do I go out and play, out for a walk, out and play in the open air, physical activity, or do I pick up my phone and start to scroll through social media? And your next 2-3 hours are going to depend upon what you decide in this one moment. Anticipate this and master it. Know what you want to do so that when this moment comes, you know that I am going out. Because why? Because of the reasons that we wrote up earlier. It makes me meet my friends. It makes me get fresh air. It makes me physically active. It adds on to the number of steps. I can finally have 10,000 steps in a day, all of that. And it is a change of scene for me. And you always gain when you are stepping out, meeting people, as compared to meeting people live, as compared to scrolling through social media. Of course, do wear a mask now that you go out. And finally, the 2-minute rule. This is interesting because, like I said, it's not easy to do something. So after I've made it easy, even my making it easy might not be that easy. For example, now, if you've not been physically active at all, when I decided to cycle, I was like, okay, fine. I'll go out only for 5 minutes, or I'll go out and cycle only for I'll go from here to there just for 5 kilometers. I will not cycle for 10. I will not aim for a 20. That made me say, oh, forget it. Only for 5. And believe me, when you're cycling, 5 kilometers take you about 15 minutes. So 2-minute rule is basically, I will do it only for 2 minutes. I will do exercising only for 2 minutes. You want to do abs. You want to do your sit-ups. I will do only 10. You want to go out for a walk on a regular basis. Fine, I'll step out, but I'll just do it for 5 minutes or about for 10 minutes. So the 2-minute rule makes it easier for you. I know of somebody who would go to the gym every day for just 15 minutes. Her rule was that. I said, what are you doing? Why are you just going for 15 minutes? Now that you're here, why aren't you, kind of stretching it? She says, no, because this is my trial period. This is my priming up period. I will go for 15 minutes every day for this 1 week. Eventually, myself, I will start to feel that I can stay for 15. I can stay for 5 more minutes. I can stay for 25. I can stay for 45. Because often we do this mistake that in the motivation of it, in the josh of it, we jump into it. And then we feel very bad when we are off the wagon. And then we say, forget it. It's no use. It was never worth it. I can never do it. I don't know why I even tried. And that's a bad place to be after you've done all this work. So be careful on that one. Increase friction. Simple. You want to read, phone is an obstacle. You know that. TV is an obstacle. You know that. Lock up the remote. Give the phone or keep it in the other room. Tell your mom not to give you the phone for the next 20 minutes. Oh my God, that can be very, very annoying. But go ahead. I challenge you to do that if you really want to become the reader, for example. Because go back to your why. Increase the friction, make it difficult to happen what you don't want to do, what you want to change. You want to stop being with the phone. You want to stop eating fried food. Don't bring it to your house. Don't keep it in the most accessible place. In fact, a friend of mine would, and I've actually done this as well, we would remove the plug of the TV, which was right behind a cabinet, which was very, very tough to do, after we watched for 5 minutes or whatever, so that the next time we had to go and switch on TV, the moment we got bored, it was an effort. And we would think that I have 10 minutes of break. Rather than doing that for 5 minutes, pull that cabinet forward, plug it in, switch it on, wait for it to, come on. I might as well just lie down with eyes closed, listen to soft music, read 5 minutes, call up a friend, walk up and down, make tea for myself, have a glass of water, whatever. So, but as long as I'm not going back to the TV. So it depends upon what you are planning not to do. And commitment devices. Now, this is very, very interesting. Okay. And this is very, very challenging as well, because this talks about sheer commitment and how committed are you. These are an extreme of commitment was of this person who wanted to write a book, and he would keep going back to social media thinking that he's researching, but that would just take away time from his actual writing. So he told his assistant to change all his passwords every Monday. He couldn't have access to the various sites he would go to. And every Saturday morning, she would pass on the passwords to him. He would spend his Saturday, Sunday enjoying himself, researching, scrolling, whatever. Monday morning, passwords changed again. Option was taken away. Now, what is your commitment device? One thing is, make it tough, keep your phone in the other room. Now, that's tough enough. You won't have to go up and pick it up. One thing is, give your phone to your mom to lock it up for the next 2 days. Oh, now that is commitment for a future choice that you think you might want to make. You think you choose and you tell mom that, Mama, I am keeping the phone away for 2 days, for example, because in these 2 days, I want to finish this book. It's just about 180 pages book, and I really want to finish it. So, Mama, you keep the phone for the next, say, 3 days. I will pick it up only when I have done with this book, for example. And you go back to mom after 1 day saying, Mama, 2 minutes, please, may I? You think mom's going to give it to you? Oh, no. So mom becomes the extremely high quality commitment device for you. So think about this. how it works for you. But if you really want to do it and your why is strong enough and the loss is bad enough, you will figure it out. So it also depends upon how strong the present habit is that you need to break. How strong actions do you need to take? So think about that. Reward. Now, the first three are the cue is the awareness of the reward. The craving is the wanting of the reward. The response is the action for the reward. So this is the end game. This is what we are all working for. All habits start and stop here. If you were not getting the rewards that you wanted, you would not have that habit that you want to break. Don't fool yourself. Oh, I want to stop going on social media. Oh, I really want to, but what do I do? I see no reason for it, but I just such a lot of waste time. I don't even remember how time flies. Oh my God, your reward is the fact that you are escaping anxiety, escaping facing maybe a hard chapter to be learned. It's a easy way of postponing work, which is always mostly no fun as compared to just blindly watching something which is entertaining. So think about this, that what you're doing, what is that reward it is offering you? And make that reward unsatisfying if you want to break that habit, and satisfying if you want to keep that habit. Habit tracking. This is where, so I'm sure you all know Instagram, right? I don't know if it's Insta or Snapchat, where they have this streak. I heard about it from my young girls. When they spoke about a streak, I said, no, what is a streak? A streak is that, you post something every day and then you have a streak, and it is, everybody sees that, and it's, so the whole idea of having that calendar, a visible marker where you can keep crossing out, or done day 1, day 2, day 3. Like we spoke about earlier, when you could tell your friends that day 1 of 80 pages done, day 1 of 15 pages done, you could tell this to somebody. When you're tracking your habits, it is immensely satisfying. I'm sure you've done this when you were during your exams, when you kept crossing days till the last exam. We've all been there, haven't we? So forming a streak and making it visible for you makes it amazingly satisfying. This satisfaction, now, this is very, very useful when your rewards are not immediate. And for most of your effective habits, rewards are rarely immediate. If you have the effective habit of, you're forming an effective habit of, say, walking on a regular basis, the reward of walking one day will not be suddenly toned legs, lack of tiredness, lack of breathlessness. No, not at all. You will still feel breathless. You will still feel tired the next day also. It's going to take you a consistent of at least a week for you to start feeling stronger. And even then, bit by bit by bit, going to the gym one day and doing something is not going to make you fit and all lean. No, it's going to take time. So at these times, habit tracking, where you can tell yourself that you are taking a step towards the person you want to be. That is why when a habit is being formed and it is from the identity level, it makes so much more sense. Because this is what keeps you going, because you have now taken one more step, one more day towards being the person that you want to be. That is an intrinsic reward. You don't need someone else giving you the thumbs up. It's for you. It's a streak that you maintain for yourself. And more important than that is, when you miss, never miss 2 times in a row. You can miss one day. Life happens. Things could happen. It could rain. You could fall ill. It could just be a very hectic day. Unexpected things can happen. But don't miss it twice. And sometimes, if you can't do it for the entire plan that you did plan, and you had a whole system going in the streak, you had been doing it for, say, 5 minutes every day, and that time you can only do it for 1 minute, do it for 1 minute. Do it in rushed, but do it. Because habits are not formed by the amount of time you're doing something, it is formed by the frequency of doing something. You can spend 2 hours once every month practicing a musical instrument. You think you're going to learn that? No way. But you could spend half an hour every day practicing on the musical instrument. Will you learn? Of course. You will move forward in your learning. And there is nothing more heartbreaking than doing something for a sustained amount of time, say for 10 days, 15 days, stopping it, dropping off the wagon completely, missing it twice, thrice, 4 times, and then letting it go, and then starting all over again and feel that, oof, I had gotten better at this. Now I'm back to square one. It is frustrating to an extreme. Don't go there. You've been there already once. Don't go there again. So don't miss twice. As simple as that. So now this brings us to an end of the habit formation that we were talking about. I really hope that you have gone along with it, keeping your habit in mind that you had thought of as of right now, and that it works for you. If it doesn't work for you, do let me know at Dolveen at dolveen@gmail.com, or reach out to any of the iDream counselors, and make sure you let us know in what aspect or what stage of habit formation did you face a challenge, and let's talk about it. It's all about choices. Everything that you are today is a sum total of the choices you have made. Do not fool yourself into thinking otherwise. So, what do you choose? Is a question that you need to ask. And if you have a picture in your mind as to how you want to be, what you want to do, then the question to ask is it taking me towards that? Is this act, is this thought, is this habit, is this change taking me towards what I want to do? So it's all a matter of choices. All the very best. Do stay connected.
Thank you, Dolveen. Thank you so much. I think that those were, some great insights that you presented, and hopefully students should be able to, learn a lot from your own personal examples. Like you very correctly mentioned, habits will take time to form, but yes, if we are kind of, intentional towards creating them, eventually they do fall in our lifestyle and, help us in becoming a better person. So just for all the audiences who are here on our YouTube channel, would request if you guys would have any questions to ask, please go ahead and put them on the chat box, and we will take them up for you and get them answered through Dolveen. So we'll wait for 10-20 seconds or so, and if you have any questions, we will take them up and get them answered, please. Okay, so while we wait for questions, just a few pointers to note from iDream Careers end. So specifically, we conduct a weekly career class every Saturday at 4 o'clock on our YouTube channel. So just in case you have your friends or your fellow students, colleagues, anybody, please let them know to subscribe on our iDream Career YouTube channel, and they will get regular updates of the career classes that we have. Topics usually are based on extracurricular activities, skill engagements. We invite a lot of industry experts for getting to know how you can make your career guidance journey better. In the second part, also please go ahead and log into our website, which is idreamcareer.com. So you will find a lot of options that you can avail in terms of getting to know about a lot of career advisory packages that you can enroll for. So from stream and subject selection to having undertake a psychometric assessment test, and then finally get access to a lot of career information, multiple career counseling sessions for UG to PG, 9, 10th, 11, 12th, whatever category you fit in. Go ahead and please enroll yourself to any of the packages that you think deem fit for you. In addition, you can also look at studying abroad if you think that is of an interest to you. And then finally, go in for the overseas career guidance program, which will help you build your profile, shortlist colleges, countries, courses. And then finally, we will help you in the application formalities, build your profile, build your interview skills, help you with loan and travel advisory as well. Yeah, so that's more or less about us. We are located out of Delhi. You can go ahead and contact us on support@idreamcareer.com, or even message or call us on our helpline numbers, which are also listed on our website, 9555 Yeah, so that's it. If okay, so I definitely don't see any questions here. So I think we are good to wrap up with the session. Dolveen, anything from your end before we, bid a goodbye?
Just that habits are not a standalone. We are what we are because of the habits that we follow, and everything that we do is basically a habit out of that we are unconsciously taking. So, yeah, all the very best to having effective habits. Thank you so much for your time over here, Garima.
Thank you, Dolveen, and thank you everybody for being engaged with us. Stay tuned for more every Saturday. Thank you, everybody.